Almost everyone missed one of the main points of the Great American Eclipse that we had yesterday. Michael Snyder reports a lot of people were expecting a lot of things to happen on the day of the Great American Eclipse of 2024, and none of them happened. Personally, I did not expect to see any sort of major disaster or emergency on April 8, and this is an opinion that I express over and over again during the weeks leading up to the eclipse. But without a doubt, I believe that this eclipse was a sign and a warning. In particular, the fact that the Great American Eclipse of 2024 completed the Great X over the New Madrid fault zone that the Great American Eclipse of 2017 started is such an obvious warning that I can't believe that almost everyone is going to ignore it. And this is what we can see right here. The giant X over the New Madrid fault zone was literally one of the main points of the eclipse, but so few people are talking about this. Earlier today, I was watching coverage of the eclipse on ABC News, and I thought that overall they did a pretty good job. But of course, there was no mention of the giant X over America that was being finished by the Great American Eclipse of 2024. And there was no mention that the precise intersection of the two eclipses fell in southern Illinois. I'm sure that the other major networks also chose to ignore the obvious, but somebody out there has certainly been trying to draw attention to what the eclipse on 4/8 really meant. On Friday, a magnitude 4.8 earthquake rattled New York City on the exact same day that an earthquake at a depth of precisely 4.8 miles shocked the New Madrid fault zone. The New Madrid seismic zone started rocking early Friday morning. The U.S. Geological Survey recorded a magnitude 2.1 earthquake at 12:17 a.m. April 5th. The tremor was centered along the Mississippi River in Lake County, Tennessee, about 3 miles northeast of Cuthersville and 26.5 miles northeast of Blytheville. The USGS said it had a depth of 7 kilometers. That's 4.8 miles. Just another coincidence, right? That quake was part of a mini swarm of 5 earthquakes that hit the New Madrid fault zone that day. I'm not a scientist and I'm not saying that eclipses and earthquakes are related, but I do find it interesting that a mini swarm of 5 quakes has just hit the New Madrid, Missouri area just days before Monday's historical total solar eclipse that will cross that region. The USGS confirmed that there are at least 5 New Madrid, Missouri quakes as of this writing. 2 happened early Friday morning, and there may be more now, but 5 is a total as of this writing. What we are witnessing right now are warnings. Someday there will be an apocalyptic earthquake along the New Madrid fault zone that will permanently alter the geography of the United States, but it is not time for that yet. The dividing of the land of Israel comes first, and this is something that the Biden administration seems absolutely determined to accomplish. For decades, the U.S. has pushed a 2-state solution to the conflict in the Middle East, but not formally recognized an independent Palestinian state. That may be about to change. The Biden administration is drawing up options to enact the policy after Israel's current war in Gaza, a senior administration official told NBC News, a move that could offer political, legal, and symbolic power for Palestinians and adds to international pressure on Israel to engage in meaningful talks for long-term peace. We have been warned that if we divide the land of Israel, our land will be divided, but the Biden administration plans to do it anyway. Recently, a simulation of what a magnitude 7.7 earthquake on the New Madrid fault would look like was conducted. Of course, we have seen much more powerful earthquakes than that in the region in the past. In 1811 and 1812, there was a series of 3 massive earthquakes that all measured between 8.3 and 8.7 on the Richter scale. The seismic zone generated some of the largest earthquakes in U.S. history. 3 earthquakes struck between 1811 and 1812, destroying several settlements along the Mississippi River and spurring a series of aftershocks that lasted for months. Scientists have estimated the intensity of the earthquakes as between 8.3 and 8.7 magnitude on the Richter scale, according to the Iowa Geological Survey. These three absolutely enormous quakes were part of a series of more than 2,000 earthquakes that rattled the New Madrid fault zone during those 2 years. In the entire history of the continental United States, we have never seen anything quite like those earthquakes. The New Madrid earthquakes were the biggest earthquakes in American history. They occurred in the central Mississippi Valley, but were felt as far away as New York City, Boston, Montreal in Canada, and Washington, D.C. President James Madison and his wife Dolly felt them in the White House. Church bells rang in Boston. From December 16, 1811 through March of 1812, there were over 2,000 earthquakes in the central Midwest, and between 6,000 and 10,000 earthquakes in the Boot Hill of Missouri, where New Madrid is located near the junction of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. Prior to the catastrophic New Madrid earthquakes in 1811-1812, two solar eclipses actually formed a giant X over the heartland of America. The giant X in the vicinity of Cleveland, Ohio, that a solar eclipse in 1806 started, was completed by a solar eclipse in 1811. Meanwhile, Tecumseh comet was getting a ton of attention as it raced through the heavens. 3 months after the solar eclipse of 1811, the shaking in the New Madrid fault zone began, and now we see a very similar scenario playing out right in front of our eyes. On April 8, the Great American Eclipse of 2024 completed the giant X over the heartland of America that the Great American Eclipse of 2017 started. Meanwhile, the Devil's Comet is racing through our solar system for the first time in 71 years. And you can dismiss this if you want, but let's see what happens. I'm entirely convinced that X marks the spot, and scientists assure us that it is just a matter of time before extremely destructive earthquakes hit the New Madrid fault zone once again. So keep a very close eye on what the Biden administration does. Once the Palestinian state is formally established, we will definitely be in the danger zone. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.